It's automatically set to.
It also does a transcript, I think, by the way.
Yeah, I thought about that as we were talking about it, and.
Mary,
Available.
Mary, do you know where the, Mary, do you know where the little thing is?
It came on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I
Oh, we don't want it so big.
on the screen.
I'll bring it.
I told you, it's really good. Winter special, we get that. I know it's. Wow, where is that at? In Edison, sorry. Oh my God.
Oh, sure.
I think the sitting is bad. It's more you sit.
Okay, let's.
You know what I do with them, that was fucking right.
I'm not.
Right.
Anything in here?
Just sharing your screen. Oh.
She's gonna jump on.
Do we know if she did or if she's going to?
How did you do that? What? Oh,
Yes, that's it.
Oh, look, it's Kimberly. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, Kimberly.
Hello. How are you?
hi, Kim.
Is she there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, Kim.
Hi.
There she is.
I said hello in German.
Good morning.
Oh.
That's what, that
Good
was.
day. I don't know.
Well, is it morning for her? Oh,
Good
no,
day.
she's ahead of us.
Kimberly, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes,
Can
she
I
said.
hear her?
Something like doing duo and going. I know, I told you that.
I took conversational Spanish when I was teaching in the Bronx. At the news, but it was so slow moving and Ellie learned enough conversation to at least communicate with her. If like, like that. Tell me. My first day teaching kindergarten in France.
Just don't, yeah, don't close it. I'll just put it.
I thought, well, 5-year-olds know their names. Correct?
That's why I thought that once I stopped it.
No,
Yeah.
not. So I had not made name tags when they were dropped off and tried to take attendance and they answered to all kinds of them. I like that name. Okay, that's me. So the next day, the second day, I stopped each one. My kids. Really funny one. And there's a learning experience. I was very young.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Okay. Teach, I would tell my kid, I would learn their names the first day, and I told them if I forgot their names after the first day, I'd get bonus points on that first test. Yeah.
Try the kids.
Yeah. I was pretty good.
college one, like, memorize all the. Then they change their hair dates.
Yeah.
And their hair colors.
Right.
And I would get so many trouble. But at the co-op, I learned every kid's name, in all the classes, no problem, but I told the parents that I'll probably not remember your name. You're not the important thing. That's probably not a kid.
That's good.
Okay, thank you. Again, again.
See, just when you think you're gonna leave.
Right, yes. Kimberly, thank you for joining us.
Yes, I'm glad I
How was
got
your
on.
trip?
Well, right now I'm in DC. Germany's next week.
Hold on, we gotta check the speaker here.
Okay.
Can't see it. Where's the-
Okay, talk again,
Okay.
Kim.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yes? Oh, okay. Good.
Much
Yeah,
better.
I was saying I'm in DC now. Germany's in a few more days.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
You're here telling tales out of school.
Ah.
Trying to figure out what the time element
Right.
something.
Trying to speak German.
Right.
Yeah. Few
Oh,
more
I'm glad
days.
to say, but I know you had to travel there also, so,
Yes.
great.
So were you able to come into any of the first part?
No, I didn't see any of the first part.
Okay, all right. I am recording this, so.
Okay. Yep.
To watch it. Okay, great. All right. And can you see the slides?
I cannot see the slides.
No, it says she's sharing.
No.
It has to be.
She's
At
sharing
the
the
bottom, it
screen.
says,
We have to share it on.
No, we're sharing the screen. But we're not sharing.
Yeah, we have to share it on the Zoom.
oh,
Where did the mom-
Oh, that's, yeah, it does
That's
that.
more
It
about
disappears
this.
sometimes.
We're really good at that. That's because we
Oh,
work
up there.
virtually.
Up on those.
Yeah, I have one's in Ohio, one's in Milan, one in
There it is.
How to share.
You need to have them share.
They
Second one to the left. Yeah.
keep changing the,
It's gotta be just what
they
it feels.
stand for and how to do it, which
Mhm.
little.
All right, that's good.
Okay. Yep. I can see now.
Excellent. All right. Well, if we didn't have D, we'd be in serious trouble. Thank you so much. Yeah. We did figure how to turn it back on when it dies.
How did you find out?
Well, Richard came over and
Yeah.
pressed the power button
Oh.
and it worked. We're dealing with the mysteries of technology here. So, all right. So we're going to move on to commitment, board as in board commitment. You know? So one of the things that, and again, I want to kind of go with what you need, but, oh, this is, oh no. Okay, that's good. The chair ED relationship is a very critical, relationship. And it, again, it might be the chair and the co-chair, it might be, you know, you can decide again, who are the best people to interface. Okay, but normally, the chair and the ED are connecting periodically, you know, so that there's anything that needs to be addressed, that comes up. So it's important that there be a good rapport. It's important that the vision be clear and shared. And then, again, keep harping on clarification of roles. And then frequent communication. It's really important to, even as I said, even if you touch base for 3 minutes, that touch base has happened. And keeping that routine of keeping in communication is really helpful. And of course, the bottom line is trust. There has to be trust in that relationship. And you know, it has to be nurtured. I'm not too worried about you guys here. I see a lot of good interaction. So board members need to be accountable. We've talked about some of this, but just, you know, having a code of ethics, checking on conflicts of interest. If you are in some way connected with what's the decision that's being made board, and it involves you in some aspect of your life, you need to withdraw. If you're, you know, if you're, you know, represent Benjamin Franklin Paints and they're going to be buying paint, then you recuse yourself, you know, this type of thing. And of course, you know, part of the using the resources wisely, and again, that's a general term, but it's how do we most responsibly use the resources that we have available, because some resources are very limited. Have things like do you have a gift policy? I was just talking to someone who wants to. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Someone who wants to put in their will that the house will go to a charity, and I'm like, okay, you need to talk to the charity first. You know, what would you do if somebody came and said, oh, so and so just died and they've donated the house to you? Okay, do you have the capacity to deal with that? Would you be able to make it over into another school? Would you be able to sell it and use the funds, whatever? You just may not have the capacity. And so there's a time when you just say, hey, cannot accept this. And it goes on to you know, the next level. But having a gift acceptance policy is a good idea. And then the other thing is continuity planning, where what happens if, you know, we have damage from a storm, there's a fire, you know, suddenly all of our, you know, half our income gets cut in half. You know, what are the things that could happen? I mean, and on the other side of that coin, what happens if somebody comes along and gives you $2 million? What would you do with that? You know, it's
Italian, isn't it?
but the thing is that people, you know what they
Just gave us a compliment.
You know, we just went to the library board in the sense that we didn't have a policy on what to do with gifts.
Yeah.
And what level of gifts,
right. Mm-hmm.
what do you do with them? And how much does a certain kind of gift get you?
Mm-hmm.
And the woman who's now the president of our board was the president of the New Jersey Library Association. And she works at Rutgers in the library.
Mm-hmm.
So she's been working on that. But it's not an easy thing to
Yeah.
do.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, absolutely. It is. It's something you think about. And as I said, even with it's, you know, what they say about lottery winners, people that win the Mega Millions, 3 years later, they're back where they were before. Mm-hmm. That you have this thrill of, oh my gosh, look at this wonderful thing that's happened. You've got to be able to focus and look at it really strategically, and not, you know, not go buy a yacht. Okay, again, understanding the board roles, don't be a rubber stamp. And that's what's really important in terms of board participation. If you have a feeling that, oh, I'm not comfortable with this, I'm not sure about this, but everybody else is going along, speak up. Okay, if you speak up and everybody says, yeah, but you haven't thought about they explain it and you're satisfied, fine. Okay, but clarify it. But sometimes that gut feeling can be something that nobody's been thinking about, and it can really affect the decision-making process. So it's really important as a board member that you're contributing your input, and including there's a there's a speaker who worked for the NICU, the ICU for neonatal ICU, and he said that when they're getting ready to do a surgery, for example, they go around the room. How are you feeling about this? What concerns do you have? How, is this okay? And if one person on the team says, I'm just really not sure that this is what we should be doing, or this is gonna work, or whatever, I have a concern about this aspect of it, you stop and you deal with it. This is if we're not all, if we're not all really solid and we know confident that this is what we're doing, we don't go ahead, because this is life or death, and it's important to understand that sometimes those little feelings that come up can make a big difference. And then the other thing too, and we talked about volunteers, or we talked about parents, families, etc., to cultivate new leaders. Be thinking about who's coming along, who may be our next executive director, who may be a good board member, not necessarily this year or next year, but maybe even in 5 years. Who are the people that are committed to the principles of our organization? And by the way, I meant to say this before, your mission, you sent me that philosophy mission statement, that is fabulous. I think that is so good. It really honors the children, the family, the staff. It's everybody's in there saying we're all in this together, and we're supporting each other. It really, one thing my grandmother, I was looking for, she needed to be in a nursing home. And one thing I realized when I was looking in different places is, if the staff had been there for 10, 12, 15 years, okay, the staff is happy, they like where they are, they're going to be really good caretakers. And I think, and that's having that, including the staff in all of this is really, really important. So, but the idea of looking at, people coming down the pike, including your teenagers. What are they getting out of this? Where are they? Build their leadership skills too. Now, fundraising for board members, and again, I was talking before about who's got what skills. Okay, be realistic about that. Okay, there are people who will make a personal financial contribution. Yeah, you can put my name on the letter, this kind of stuff, but I don't want my name out there. I can't do this. Right? You have to respect people's boundaries. That person may want to grow a little bit, okay, but they're probably never going to be at the top of the pyramid. The second level is just, okay, I come to events, I help out, I will, show appreciation, this kind of stuff. And then you have the people, or like somebody will participate in a fundraising event, right? I'll sell tickets, or I'll do a walk or something. Then you have the people that can approach a potential donor. And maybe one of the things that board members can do is make thank you calls to existing donors. Okay, so there's low risk. You're saying, hey, I'm on the board and I just want to let you know that we really appreciate your support. And here's a couple of things that have happened recently. It doesn't have to be, again, it can be 5 minutes. But it's a great activity for board members to do that helps cement the support that you currently have. The next level is actually making introductions. Hey, listen, I know so-and-so, and in the community, and I play tennis with them, and I can make an introduction. I shop at this store all the time, and I think the manager might be somebody who would be a good candidate or a good donor supporter. And make phone calls and emails. And then finally, you have the people who are going to be in a good position to just go ahead and make the ask. And most of us are afraid of it. My first real fundraising job was with the American Heart Association. I was running the Heart Walk in Cumberland and Salem counties. But I quickly learned, I'd get to, we'd have meetings like in a company with the employees. And one of the things I learned was that if I would say, how many of you have been personally affected, either you or your family, or somebody close to you has been personally affected by heart disease or stroke? 3/4 of their hands go up in the room. So everybody's affected by, they're connected. And I just realized, you know what? You're not, I'm helping them to meet something that is meaningful to them. I'm not begging for a donation. What I'm looking for, what I'm saying to them is, we do this wonderful service here. Okay, the Heart Association, they do research and they educate, medical professionals and all the stuff that they do. Okay, I can't do that. You can't do that. Okay, but I can make a donation and contribute to it. And part of what we have to understand as nonprofits is that we're not in an inferior position begging for support. Okay, we are providing a really valuable service, and other people can't do this the way we can. So if they can contribute to us, they're making that, they're feeling like they're a part of it. They're making a difference. And we have to understand we're empowering them. Okay, and it's not a matter of, because again, some of the emotional stuff around money is really powerful. And we need to be clear that yes, money is part of what makes this run. It's an essential part of what makes this run.
Can I ask a question? So, the library was redone. They hired a company that helps with fundraising because nobody had the time or the expertise to do it on their own.
Right.
But when the whole thing was said and done, and people knew what they were contributing to, they had things they could contribute to. But if it was over a certain amount, they had a wall in the library,
Right.
where those people names are. Not how much they gave, but their names are on there. And sometimes it's in memory of.
Right.
So they get
Right.
a thank you again.
Yes. Yeah. No, and there are different ways. Like a lot of places will have different levels of sponsors. But that the whole idea of you get some recognition. To some people, that's really important. I want my name up there, and some people couldn't care less. So part of it too is having ways to recognize people that are meaningful to different personalities. Okay, if I get that little handwritten note card, or if I got a child's picture, that the child drew, I would love that. And I don't care about the gold leaf on the tree, but there are different ways of helping people, recognize what people are doing. Follow them on Facebook and like their posts. And seriously, this is something you can do. If you have, like a corporate donor or something, you can go do that and help support them that way. There are a lot of different things you can do. And it's as I said, it's also making it meet the emotional needs, the emotional buttons, it's not even a need, but just that's going to work, for that person, that environment. So that's, that's which is another piece of it. I'm going to go through this rest of this very quickly, which is just, I have a bunch of slides here that are just a great board member, okay, is, let me get my, is passionate about the mission, is committed to the success of the organization, contributes to the organization's financial well-being. And again, this may be fundraising, it may be friend raising, it may be employers matching gifts, making introductions, personal giving, all of these count. You uphold the highest ethical standards. And again, the mission is, drives that too. You try to be as informed as you can and ask questions. And this is really important. When you're sitting in a meeting and everybody else seems to know what you're talking about, but you don't, ask the question. I just was in a staff meeting yesterday and we're talking about we have a lobby day, which I'm going to tell you about, on June 22nd in Trenton. And we thought we'd get maybe 30 or 40 people. We have over 200 people signed up. So we're having this meeting about, okay, how do we handle this? And they're talking about so-and-so is doing this for us and this other thing here, and we're going to have tours, and and I said, I would just help me here. Who's this person? Are the tours going to be of the State House or the museum, which we're going to be using? Is this, I just went down through. And I may have been the only one that was confused, a little bit confused, but I'm sure probably others were. And people appreciate it, oh, I was going to ask that question. Thank you. So very, very important to, as Norma, as you were saying, it's about learning. We're all listening. Trust. Now, I talked a little bit about reputation before. Okay. There are cases. There was that United Way CEO who embezzled millions of dollars or whatever it was. It was a horrible, horrible thing. And the problem is that happens, and people say, "Oh, all nonprofits are corrupt." It really is an issue that we have to deal with. The Wounded Warrior Project. I have a friend whose husband has benefited tremendously from Wounded Warrior, and then here I think they were taking trips to the Bahamas or something like that for board meetings, and they were doing some stuff like that at the highest level. Okay, and the Brookdale College president pleaded guilty to official misconduct. These episodes happen, and it hurts everybody. It looks really bad. It's really bad for that organization. It's terrible. Okay, sometimes the recovering from that can be really hard. But we just need to be aware that we have to be vigilant. We have to be aware. We have to do those checks about, okay, is this really the right thing to do? What are the consequences going to be of doing things this way? Happy ending was the major donor told the Girl Scouts that they would give them the millions of dollars, but I forget what it was. No, it was not millions of dollars. It was $100,000 if they do not include trans girls in the Girl Scouts. And the Girl Scouts said, no, we can't do that. We can't accept your money. And they ended up raising $300,000 with people supporting them for taking that position. Okay. So again, taking the ethical, doing what you think is right, okay, is, has its real benefits. Okay, the other thing is being constructive, okay? Again, criticism, be constructive, not tearing people down, not always negative, and being supportive in that sense. And then each person, we have to be accountable for what we say we're going to do. Okay, world leaders start to use. Okay, world leaders start to use right before the scapegoating begins. Okay, don't point it at somebody because it's your scapegoating is going to be seen as in a very negative way. You're always blaming somebody else. A great board member is an ambassador, and it keeps the organization in mind wherever you are. When you're at your kids' swimming lessons, or when you're at the chamber meeting, or whatever it might be. I skipped a couple, but okay. But great board members realistic about limitations of the organization's capacity. So some of what we're talking about gifts. Okay. Hey, here's this opportunity. We can put on this big event, whatever. Really sit down and think, can we do this? What do we have to give up to be able to do that? And sometimes it's going to be a great opportunity, and sometimes you're going to say, you know what, it's just not worth it. So be realistic. Don't commit to everything. Make sure that it's within your within your reasonable capacity. The other thing is advocacy. We talked about it a little bit before, but advocacy is part of a nonprofit's mission. No matter what, we're all here to make the world a better place, okay? And part of that involves educating people around us. So that could be, it could be going to Trenton, as we're going to do on June 22nd, okay? But it is mission work. We have to find out, we have to look at what are the barriers. What is it, why is it that some children who would want to come to community day school cannot be here? Is it money? Is it transportation? You know, is it, you know, parents, maybe parents' lack of education, not understanding the importance of preschool education, this kind of thing. How do we address that? Okay, how do we make that better? And I mean, years ago, when I was in Camden, we had this big campaign because a lot of the nursery schools, whereas all the kids could, any kid could go to nursery school for free, people didn't know it, and the nursery school staff, the front desk staff, were turning people away. Oh no, you can't do that. Oh, we can't do it, you know. And so the there was a Hispanic Directors Association started a campaign, and we worked with them to get out there and inform the parents, in particular, you have this right, but also contacting the schools and saying you need to make sure that your frontline staff knows what the law is, knows what the requirements are, and knows, for example, if they didn't have room in their school, they were supposed to refer you to the Department of Education. And people would say, no, we just don't have room. Well, you gotta, you know, gotta get people working to do that. And it takes hard work, but it can make a huge difference. And again, promoting equity, it's the public interest, not the special interest for some particular group. Although obviously certain groups are, you know, need special help. And then again, the officials need to hear from all of us. We need to be writing our representatives. We need to be letting them know, this is what I value. This is what I see as a need. Okay. So yeah, voting, as I mentioned before, you know, any kind of, you know, encouraging people to vote, as long as it's not partisan, as long as you're saying vote, you know, not saying who you vote for, letting people know the, again, telling them, you know, I got a call yesterday from some group, and how'd you like to call your assembly person, and I can put you through right now and tell them to support, it was something environmental. And said, okay. And they connected me through, and so in 2 minutes, you know, first of all, she was like, yeah. I said, yes. But in 2 minutes, I did that, right? And if she hadn't called me, I would have. But there are a lot of ways to do it. And again, nonprofits have made huge changes in our society that a lot of people don't recognize, okay? Labor laws, and especially child labor. We have the, you know, MAD, the Mothers Against Drunk Driving. We have the ADA, which changed, helped so many people. Things that help people with disabilities help all of us. We have had the, you know, Pride marches, votes for women. This is taken from the Washington Martin Luther King quote, which I'm blanking. Yeah. And even and going into space. All of these things have been supported by and pushed by nonprofits. Even like the yellow lines on the highway was developed by a nonprofit. Anyway, prohibited activities for 501c3s is election year. So attempting to influence the election or defeat of a specific candidate. Okay, any candidate is going to be associated with a party, a political party, well, or even as independent, it doesn't matter. Okay, you cannot be actively promoting that person. You can't do anything that aligns your organization with a political party or a political stance. And then As a private individual, okay, you can support whoever you want, but you need to make sure that you're doing it as a private individual. And it's a little harder, like, Mary, when you're the ED of an organization, you have to be careful about this and really make things clear that this has nothing to do with my job. Okay, this is what I'm doing. So it's something to consider, but also it does not limit your ability to participate as a citizen. And it's important for people to participate. Okay, so nonpartisan activities, voter registration, voter education, get out the vote, transporting people to the polls, anything that just doesn't refer to a particular party is the critical part. Now, advocacy versus lobbying. Okay, advocacy is supporting a cause. It's influencing other people, talking to other people, educating people, and you can do as much of that as you want. Okay, there's no limit on advocacy. Okay, that's education. It's helping people organize, helping people clarify. Lobbying is direct contact with elected representatives. On June 2nd, we're going to be doing some lobbying. Okay, we're going to, there's certain policies that the center supports, or we actively get representatives to create bills that are going to benefit the nonprofit sector. Now we can do that within certain specified limits. I have a 4-page document, it's on our website, called Nonprofits Can Lobby, that goes into the details of that. There are 2 ways of doing it. My boss can explain it better than I can, but essentially the concept is basically you can't be expending more than like 20% of your resources on lobbying. So you can, like my boss, Linda she's out there advocating and doing stuff, but she has to document, and you have to report. Okay, she is registered as a lobbyist. Okay, so she has to report how much time she spends, how much money, what money we've used to support any kind of initiatives and stuff like that, so that it's tracked, and she reports that every year. So it's possible, but you need to know what you're doing. And again, it needs to be limited. And this is why, as I said, some organizations will form a 501c4 to do the actual lobbying, work for them. Like I mentioned, the Latino Action Network. Okay, so we were talking, I have all of those things kind of under this bucket of board commitment, but let's talk a little bit about what some of the things that you're dealing with in terms of how, having board members that clearly understand and value the commitment that they're making here. So I'm hearing that some people are, obviously you all that are here today, including Kim, and I know, was it Jackie who's also can't be here. What is it about, what do you see that's a problem in terms of more unified board level of commitment?
Well, I'm just gonna say what I know you want to say. Now,
Because I'm the secretary and I inform people when there are meetings.
right, and
Sure.
you no feedback, whether
No response.
yay or nay,
Mhm.
and it really bothers more
Mhm.
on attendance.
Mhm.
It's critical, and I think I would speak either to Mary, that let us know.
Yeah.
If you're gonna be here or you're not.
Right.
Because that can determine whether or not we can go ahead and
Right.
vote
Mhm.
to have some action, or we have to delay it. But also, even if we're not voting, we only meet once a month.
Mhm.
And we really, and I think we all, especially Lauren, feel that give us just one day,
Yeah,
you know.
an hour and a half.
One half, and, you know, try to be considerate of the fact that there are other
Mhm.
members that have made, you know, the sacrifice to do
Right.
that day.
Mhm.
I mean, take for instance, if we got, member Kim, who has come on
Right.
virtual,
Mhm.
when she could have just said, you know,
Mhm. Right.
I'm out of town,
Mhm.
I'm out of state,
Exactly, yeah.
you know? So I think that that's one of the things that bothers,
Mhm.
Nora, and she lets it be known. She's
Yeah,
vocal.
yeah.
And we hold it in, I hold it in, but she always, you know, she's vocal about it, but it's a serious.
Because I get upset when
Yeah, she does.
I send out the minutes and so on, we all, those who are attending get on, and we can't vote on anything because we don't have a quorum, and that has happened 3 times
Mhm.
between, September and now.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
that's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. And as you said, you know, people are they're making the commitment to show up, and it gets scuttled by the people who don't.
And true. And
But some people let me know, but
They
there
will.
are people who
Well,
don't.
yeah, right.
They will, and I just also the fact that, you know, don't use community day as, part of your bylaw.
Mhm.
Just to say, I'm on the board.
Yeah.
But you're not really on the board.
Right.
Your name is on the board, but you're not.
Yeah. No, it's really important. And part of it is for you to kind of strategically think about how do you set that standard and hold it. Okay. I think you have in the bylaws, it says if you miss 3 consecutive meetings, is that right? Is it
Yes.
consecutive?
For your
Okay.
executive meetings, yeah.
Yeah, that you're off the board.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
That
we don't
means
follow through.
that needs to be enforced. And that's the other thing too, is if you don't enforce, if you don't show that you mean it, you know, people are gonna bend it. But part of what you have to do too is kind of is evolve it to the point where you can really hold people to that line. Because it's not gonna happen overnight.
Could you add to that? Well,
It's a nice letter.
that, so it might not be consecutive meetings, but it might be that the person just doesn't let you know on multiple meetings. You have to run after them.
This doesn't necessarily have to be in the bylaws per se, but you as a board can say, here are our standards of performance for board members.
Not in the
But I
Bible.
think that I think it's somewhere I was reading the bylaws, the changes to that, but I think it says something that you can vote upon it to, have someone, you know.
Yeah, then you vote,
the proper
you will
vote.
vote to vote somebody off the board.
Off the
Yes,
board,
that
yeah.
needs to be a
Because
formal
they're not
board
really
action.
on the board, their name is on.
Right, exactly, no, and you need to recognize that.
Maybe if you had a board member manual then, where you just sort of explain that it's our expectation.
Yeah, and say, we're going to be enforcing this, but also the other thing too is that level of respect. The considering this a serious commitment. I know I used to get upset because I've had people say to me that, oh, well, you're just volunteering, you don't have to do that, you know, just don't go, you know. I said, no, it's a commitment. It is a commitment and people are counting on me. And if I can't go, I call and say, gee, I'm sorry, something's come up and I can't make it, you know. I know when our school was building playground and my husband was gonna go and he had a circular saw, they were, you know, and we woke up and it was raining and it was miserable. It's like, oh, I said, no. Get your ass out of bed. No? This, again, you know, okay, if he's there or not there, okay, that's a pair of hands you're missing. But in this case too, he had a piece of equipment that they would carry. You know, and these things have been planned with these different pieces and suddenly there are pieces missing. It doesn't work. So one of the things I was thinking about in terms of responding, okay, is say, I'm gonna send these out. I'm reminding you about the meeting. I need to know 72 hours in advance if you're not gonna be there. Okay, because why should everybody waste their time, you know, planning to be at a meeting, which, as you said, is not, if there isn't gonna be a quorum. I'm just suggesting this, and you may have some better ideas, especially with knowing the people.
What I started to do,
Mhm.
which I'm sure everybody's noticed, is I send an email with the agenda and the minutes. And then I text everybody and said,
Yeah.
I just sent you an email.
Okay, yeah,
The agenda in a minute, because it appears that today's culture, emails are all the way down.
aren't as effective. Yes,
And,
I, yeah,
And most everybody will get back to me from the text.
Yeah.
Except the
Mhm.
extraordinary, some people.
Yeah. no, that's part of it, is figuring out what people respond to. I know I've seen my email, my work email I'm on all the time, but like my Gmail, that I would have something that I'm doing as a volunteer or in some other capacity, I don't always check it. Plus, it divides the messages into 4 boxes. Okay, and when I open it, it'll tell me what the most recent message is in each one of those boxes, but I don't go and open them up and look, you know? And so there are, and I know there's a colleague of mine that the only way she would respond to you is to text her. You know, it's just,
My children don't respond to
Is
that.
Is that, would you say that's a generational thing too?
well,
That-
she's got to be in her 40s, but you know,
Oh,
it's
it's
still,
must be on the text.
you know,
No, I just, because I just did a webinar the other day about like leading across the generations and like,
Mhm.
you know, how Gen Zers react to things versus millennials versus, you know, all the way up. And, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes if you're of a certain, you know, experience,
Mhm.
you expect that people are going to sort of follow through and hold to their words. And younger
Right.
people these days have grown up in a culture where they don't have the same feelings that say I do.
You know, another thing you can do is literally every year you sign a statement of commitment. I will attend, you know, board meetings, you know, if I cannot attend, I will, you know, notify, you know, 3 days ahead. You can think about what are your expectations for board members? Okay, you will, you know, you will contribute during meetings. You know, you'll speak at least once.
Or
You know?
even the camera thing.
That was a very
Yeah.
important camera,
Yeah.
because there were, on and off, there were people who just, the cameras were off, but they also weren't talking, and they
Yes.
weren't saying
Yeah.
anything.
Mhm. Yeah.
Don't really
They
know.
did.
Yeah.
Walking around the house and.
No, and Zoom even has an automatic be right back, you know, I'm going to the bathroom, you know, or something like that. So, yeah, that's a good thing, that keep your camera on.
I don't know, maybe I'm crazy.
It's an hour and a half.
I guess because I write the minutes and I do the agenda, and I
Yes,
get
that's right.
really upset.
That's right. Okay.
I'm sitting there spending an hour or two trying to figure out these minutes and.
No, yeah, it's work. It's work, and then when it's treated as though it doesn't make any difference, it's hurtful. I mean, you know.
But I think the main thing is
Mhm.
attending.
Yeah.
And participation.
And as you said, you know, if you're not attending, then, but, so we know,
Right.
and then we can.
And people, I mean, you know, you know, your dates are set, right? For the
Yes.
whole- I mean, there's a standard date, so you know what it is, and if it needs to be on people's calendars.
Things come up, you know, things come up, it happens, somebody's,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, that's.
And that's
okay.
understandable.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
upset with
that's
that.
the
It's
reason,
just
but,
the consistent, but, you know, yeah.
but don't attend just because you.
And I remember now that we went and we redid the date, which we it was gonna be, the same, the day it would
And
be.
we are accommodating,
It doesn't always make.
we try to accommodate, you know, as I said, we know that, you know, people have children and you have responsibilities, but just try to, you know, we try to work around,
Right.
you
Mhm.
know.
And I think making that clear, okay, we
Yeah.
try to accommodate people's
Mhm.
needs. You
Yeah,
know,
just
we're
let us
doing
know.
that. We're meeting you, you know, halfway, so.
We'll let you, I mean, I'm on the phone, on the car, right?
Yes,
But,
right.
but
So,
that's the thorn.
Mhm. Yeah. no, and it's very real. Again,
Yeah, it
I mean, this is the
my
commitment.
pet peeve.
No, it's nothing wrong, no, you're right.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Yes. Yeah. And again, people, the whole thing with respect to is if you know, you know, if you lie down in front of the door, people want to use you for a doormat, you know, at some point you have to say, no, this is not acceptable. Here's my here are our expectations. And the reality is, in my experience, very often board members who aren't meeting those expectations are not happy. You know, they're not, they know that they're not contributing, they're not getting much out of their board service. I mean, it really is not a good relationship either way. And sitting down with somebody and saying, look, is this working for you? Is this, you know, maybe this just isn't a good time. You know, and a lot of times, sometimes people will step up, but suddenly it's like, oh, okay, I guess I really need to take this seriously. Yeah, I do want to do this. Okay.
But that's serious. Yeah, and there were multiple times when people make commitments to come to something here and do something, and then they're not there.
Yeah.
And you say, oh my God, why did they say they're gonna do it?
Right. Yeah. No, I think that, yeah, a commitment, the commitment is met if you can't meet it by saying, I can't do it now, but you know, what else can I do? You know, that's meeting your commitment. And again, in different, you know, different people, like some board members may be able to come and volunteer or do, you know, this, some, and others can't. Okay, and that's okay. And part of it is just spreading it around. What do you bring to the table? You know, that's it's really important to know that and to lay it out. But if people commit to something, they need to follow through. It needs to be an expectation. And the whole board, I mean, part of it too is as a board, you know, one of the things you can do for a board evaluation, for example, is have like a report card. And I have to look up my records, but it was, you know, how many meetings have you been to? How many events have you been to? Have you done any, you know, have you shared any of your contacts? Have you, you know, raised any money? Have you, you know, different, are you on a committee? You know, this kind of thing. Just have a list of these things and then get the responses from everybody and then, but do it as a composite. You don't do it and say you did this and we did that. But you get the composite, okay? And somebody, if I know that I've missed 3 board meetings and I know that I haven't come to any events, okay, and I'm seeing that, you know, these high numbers from the other people, okay, nobody's pointing the finger at me, but I'm gonna know that I'm falling short here and other people are doing more than me. And so that the evaluation can be done in a way that isn't targeting a person, you know, shaming, you know, that's one thing you want to avoid, but because part of what we want to do is empower. Say you're on this board because you have something to give. You have something to share with us that's important and valuable. That's why you're here. If that's not working for you, you know, then we need to talk about, you know, whether this is really the best place. Maybe there's something else you can do. Or come back when your circumstances have changed, you know. Mother is ill and you got to take care of her, okay, you know. But it really is important to make that commitment clear and hold to it. Do you have any other thoughts?
Not really else to say, but just put it in place and do it.
Yeah. And make it clear as you recruit new board members. Right. Make it clear, this is what we expect. You know? And again, if people have signed something, lots of times that carries a lot of weight. You know?
But I'm wondering if that helps. That helps when a situation comes up with a board member who isn't willing. And so you can actually go to the board member, president, and say, this is what your attendance is, and you're not here, and you're not coming to anything related to the school. It makes it a lot easier to deal with, less.
When you've got the criteria.
Less likely getting up on something.
Yeah. No, and yeah, you need to be thoughtful about how you approach people.
We're gonna create a statement of.
Okay.
This is mine. Right?
Yeah,
Did she hear me?
She's gonna give it to us.
yeah.
Yeah, I know the content.
enjoying the school. I know you prefer.
Yeah, we cut your finger.
All right, now we've talked a little bit about board development. And this is all, again, part of what you're doing here. And just so that we do a survey every year. It's the Trends and Outlook survey. Again, if you want some data for reports that you're making, for grants or for supporters or just yourselves or whatever, we do this survey every year. And we also have annual data about the nonprofit sector, how many organizations there are and some things like that on our website. So you can go right there and just get some numbers to plug in. Now, the top 5 issues affecting individual organizations, okay, were 1, financial uncertainty, 2, need for a stronger board. Okay, boards used to be down here, 7 and 8. And lately they've been coming away. People are beginning to recognize that they need the strength of the board and that a board position is a real position. I've had people try to recruit me and say, oh, you don't have to do anything. You just have to come to a meeting. Don't do that. Do that. But also, the impact of federal government directives, increased costs for benefits and insurance.
So interesting.
Yeah.
This is us.
Yeah.
Put community day at the top. That's
Yeah.
exactly,
Need for better branding and communications, cannot afford enough good staff, and now I've dropped off the page there, but.
Put in slide presentation. Maybe we'll
Oh, yes. No, it's not. It's cut off. Yeah.
Looks like this.
It's cut off.
Sizes.
Yeah, you know what? That balloon is bigger than it was supposed to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, those, let's see, you can look at our report.
Oh, yeah.
You can see it. The other thing, what the people felt was the issues affecting the sector as a whole was foundation and corporate funding. It was private funding as opposed to public funding and donations. Nonprofit infrastructure and capacity building has come up to the top. I'm fond of saying that, if a business buys new computers and new software, it's considered a wise investment in business. If a nonprofit does it, it's considered a profligate waste of resources. It shouldn't be that way, okay? If we're going to be effective, if we're going to be efficient and get things done, we need the tools that need to be up. Government grants and contracting obviously is an issue with federal funding. But again, down here, number 5 is attracting, retaining capable, committed board members. So don't feel like you're alone, okay? But it is, and then attracting and retaining qualified workers is now becoming higher concern too. And again, within the nonprofit sector, often the salaries are lower than in the private sector. And one of the things that nonprofits will try to do is have more benefits, have benefits that may, obviously, health insurance, things like that do cost something, but there are also benefits you can give that don't cost. How much paid time off do you have? I'm trying to remember, there's some really cute, excuse me, employee benefits that, you get, rotate the parking spot. You get a lunch, get a free lunch or something, so different things like that that are recognizing the value of what people are bringing to the table. Now, development is the word, it's very confusing because they often use development for fundraising and then use development for professional development. So here I'm talking about professional development. So onboarding training is really important. There are, most people gather up a packet or whatever, and you come into your first, you've been interviewed, talked to, brought in, and then you come to your first board meeting and you sit there with your packet and say, I don't know what all of this is. Okay. So one of the things that one board I was on, we started inviting, when we would recruit board members for the start of the year. And what we did is we would have like 3 board members, you know, they have an initial interview, and then 3, once we had somebody we thought was good, have 3 board members would meet and just have a kind of a conversation, maybe in the evening, or, you know, a cup of coffee, something like that. And just talk about, here's how things work, here's what's going on, a little bit about the history, you know, this type of thing. And then we invited the new board members to come to the meeting before their term began. So they were coming as an observer, but they'd have the board packet, they'd see the interaction between the board members, they'd hear about some of the issues, so that when they come to their first board meeting, they have some background into what they're walking into. And again, that's just an example. The other thing too, that is really helpful is to assign 1 board member as a mentor. So that the person says, you know, if you have questions, you know, call me, you know, maybe you check in with them, you know, before and after, maybe after the board meeting, you know, did you have questions, or, you know, how did you feel about that? This type of thing. So keeping that, focusing on what would I want if I were coming in as a new board member? What would help? Development education should be built into your agenda. Literally, you could make every meeting, you could have, as I think I said before, is you could have 10 minutes or 15 minutes of, hey, did you know about this? I read an article, you know, about the trends in, okay, like, you know, the population trends where the children, you know, numbers of children are shrinking. How are schools adapting to this? And what the needs that some of the children have coming from COVID and other, you know, other environments that may have had an effect on. You also want to talk about the key areas of expertise that the board lacks. Okay, as I said, the one board I was on, we had real estate.
Screen.
We had real estate, and so we ended up having to learn about, you know, real estate. And, you know, we said, well, maybe we should get somebody on here who does have a background in either, you know, building, or, you know, real estate, some aspect that relates to what we're dealing with. So, you know, think about what are the holes, what are the gaps when you say, oh, geez, I don't know anything about this. Okay, how can you get help? Now, obviously, you can, again, recruit an expert in that field to give you input for that one period of time. But you also want to think about, who do we need here on a regular basis that can really help provide the support we need.
Yeah, one of the things they did on, I hate keep going back to the local library board, this woman decided with the library director that we should invite other groups from within our community to come in and talk about what they do and how that might relate to our work in the library. And she's been choosing somebody every month. The problem that happened was that they didn't limit how much time.
Oh, yeah, no, that's
But now they
important.
limit it, so now they limit the person to a half hour.
Well, and in the case of a library, which really is a total community service, that really makes a lot of sense.
So, you know, like from the library director to come in.
Yeah. Yeah, and who else around here is connected with your children?
Pediatrician.
Yes.
I don't know what the medical situation is.
No,
here.
social service people,
Social service.
you know. So there's a lot, you know, housing and, you know, nutrition is another thing that might be, you know, of interest. You know, but that's, you know, that's a good idea. And again, building those community connections.
They had somebody come from the food bank in town.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of. But we did have to live.
Yes. No, you do. You need to tailor it.
Yeah, they were gonna.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Right. No, but that's really good. You know, those are the kinds of things that can really help. The other thing that Yeah, again, speakers, classes, webinars, what can you do to help, your education? The center we've got a bunch, we have a YouTube page of all of the free stuff we have. For example, there was one that was done, this was, 2-3 years ago about the different boards and commissions that the governor appoints. And there are large numbers of seats that go empty on these boards, and nobody, I didn't know how to think about it. How do you get on? I don't know. And she was saying, contact us and give us your background and stuff and what your interests are. And you may get appointed to a board. We have openings. We need people from all over, to be involved. So, there's a webinar on doing that, for example. But we also have recorded webinars. If we have a webinar that we charge for, we don't put that for free on YouTube as people have paid for it. Okay? But we have a list of recorded webinars. There are webinars on fundraising, marketing, on technology, on board development, training, recruitment, etc. All kinds of HR. There's all kinds of stuff. And so you're a member organization, you get those for free. And you can, again, plan to everybody watch it, and then when you have your meeting, come together and maybe have a little short discussion about what did I learn. Most of them are most of them are between like 45 minutes and maybe an hour and 15 or something. When you edit the video, it's not the full hour or hour and a half that the original webinar was.
Right.
So they're fairly manageable. And then there's tons. If you go on our calendar, we've got events going on all over the place. We post events of ours, some of our partners, but then also whoever's, League of Women Voters, all these different groups that will post any events that you have. We don't do any fundraising events. We can't do that because we would have 12 million. Okay. Yeah. Oh, well, here's what I'm just talking about. Okay. So yeah, we do have the recorded webinars, the events calendar. We have publications and articles. What I mentioned, nonprofits can lobby. We have one on insurance. We have, several articles like that are for New Jersey nonprofits. And then also we can, I can refer you to professionals in different fields. I'm gonna sneeze. And so we have consultants that do strategic planning. They do, they do branding and communications. They do, I probably have at least 12 different fields, probably more than that. It used to be like 20, but I think we narrowed some of those down. So I can refer you to people who know nonprofits. Okay, they're not going to tell you, oh well, just you only spent 5,000 on that. That's gonna change. Just go ahead and spend 20. No, ain't happening. IRS, as I said, the IRS is not your enemy. There is a actually, this has been changed in the last couple months. Stay Exempt used to be the kind of a separate website and had videos and this kind of stuff. It's now incorporated into the regular IRS website. So there's stuff there, but it's not a separate section. But on and that's the thing, is on the IRS website, they tell you, what do you do if you lose your status? What do you do if, you haven't reported? What do you do? Just all kinds of good information. This workshop, it's called the Small to Mid-Sized Tax Exempt Organization Workshop. They used to do it in person. They'd come around. But it's now virtual. Each unit is probably an hour or so. So it would take you, 12, 15 hours to go through the whole thing. and I don't recommend that, okay? But it focuses on different areas of nonprofit management. And it's really in-depth. They have case studies, for example. Like, for example, one of the things they look at is the difference between an employee and a contractor. Okay, what are the different? And then you look at what the differences are, and then they give you some examples. Okay, can you apply it? You know, so it kind of coaches you along. So things like that, it goes through. It's really good. It's again, that's something too where you could once every 2 months, somebody says, okay, I'll watch, I'll take the one course and then I'll report back. So, and again, you can do it according to what your current, needs and interests are. Okay, as I said, there are multiple tools available for board self-assessment. Really, I encourage you to do something along these lines. I can send you stuff, you can let me know what you think kind of might work. The National Council has a section on self-assessment for nonprofit boards. And by the way, the National Council website has also a lot of good information for nonprofits. And again, more on nonprofit management stuff and advocacy, that kind of thing. Now, the other thing you can do in terms of getting feedback about board performance is also get some feedback from staff, from families. It would be fun to do a little survey with kids.
That would be.
Yeah. Look at what did we plan back in January, and it's now August. How far have we gotten? Do we need to kind of review what our goals are? Because it's not a matter of just, we didn't make it. It's a matter of why didn't we make it, and maybe should this still be a high priority? Maybe it's not. Maybe we can't do it. And there's nothing wrong with saying, wait a minute, let's re-gear here. Okay, that's something that you're going to. It's the responsible thing to do. Again, a community survey or focus groups. Talk about what is it people are dealing with. What do they see? How do they see the community basically? How do they? What do they think? What other needs do they see that aren't being met? Things like that can make be very helpful. And again, just 1 or 2 comments just may say, whoa, bring up something that you just haven't thought about that could be revolutionary. And then, of course, you can get a consultant to help you too with this evaluations and help you figure out what it is you want to make as your goals or a means of just a board evaluation. And finally, remember to celebrate. Okay, this is hard work we're doing, but we're doing it because we love it, and celebrating those accomplishments and each other, and recognizing the importance of what we're given and the human side of what we're doing. This was taken at our conference, by the way, so quite a few years ago. I love that photo. Okay, does anybody have any questions at this point about the board? Okay, now board recruitment. It can be kind of daunting, but the more clear you are about what you're looking for, the easier it gets. We're not just looking for warm bodies. Some of the traits you might be looking for is people that understand the community's needs, they're connected in the community. And again, local commercial, owners, stores and, commercial businesses may have a real connection. Your families are their customers, this kind of thing. They should have a passion for the cause. Obviously, they should be willing to commit. This is key, willing to commit the time and resources that are required to serve on a board. They should be a team player, being able to work, as a group. You need people with honesty and integrity, and then this is where you look for skills. What do you need? Do you need financial skills? Do you need legal skills? Do you need marketing skills? Do you need, operations, building, how to handle the facility, fundraising, relationship building, technology, what are the skills that would help inform you to be able to do a better job? Curriculum development would come over here perhaps, or, other aspects of other education. Okay, the board, this is really important. The board should be representative of the community. But just because you're an older woman doesn't mean you represent only the old women. Okay? Just because you're the mother of a preschooler doesn't mean you're representing only mothers of preschoolers. We'll think about who are the people who benefit from the work you do. Who are your donors and supporters? Have you asked them, would you like to be on the board? People that are related to the programs you do. Are there people who are involved with young children? Be it, physical therapists, or, can be a lot of different fields like that serve young children.
Would that be a conflict of interest if one of our vendors is approached to be on the board?
Not necessarily. You have to, especially if the relationship already exists. Okay, if it's, for example, if this is somebody you contract with on a yearly basis, when that comes up, they have to absent themselves, or accuse themselves. Okay, they would not participate in that. But no, again, these are people that know you. They have a relationship with you, and it's very possible that they might want to, and probably never thought of. I mean, one of the things that we're working on now with some other groups is developing a campaign, a publicity campaign, to reach people to say, you too can be a board member. Okay, people who don't have a college degree, people who don't make a lot of money, people who come from poorer communities, people who come from different environments. Okay, that people with disabilities, etc. Okay, you can be on a board, but a lot of people think, oh no, well that's only for important, expert people. Not me. And part of what we're trying to get across to people is, no, we need you. We need people from all walks of life, and you have something to give.
That's how they got me. They reached out to the bottom of the barrel.
No.
Oh, don't even try to do that.
No.
Speaking of that, have we done outreach to parents of current students? I know you.
I think that, didn't we have someone?
Tyree is a
Ty-
former
yeah,
parent.
yeah.
That prospective board member that I mentioned to you.
Right, and remember the young man we had before, he was on the finance committee, and he had
He
to
moved.
his job. We had
Maryland.
Maryland, yeah, their job transfers.
He tried to stay on,
Yeah.
but he couldn't. It's too far.
Remember that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
yes.
What about kids who were in the program that are now adults?
Kids who
Kids
were
who
in the
were-
program.
who were in
now
the
grow
program.
up.
That goes into because I mentioned that before with parents, and how far back do we keep records of parents to even outreach to even former parents,
Yeah.
let alone kids.
Yeah.
But the
Right.
parents definitely would be, kind of stakeholders. Hey, your
Yes.
kid is, just graduated high school.
Right.
Hey, remember us?
Yeah.
But that goes to record keeping and, outreach and continual outreach, just
Yeah.
just as a
Right.
form of communication, just a
Yeah, because you lose
newsletter,
contact.
a quarterly newsletter, because then just keeping them informed. And,
Yeah.
that can be, that's
Like-
fundraising, that goes into a whole
Yes.
lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Remember, we had the celebratory luncheon
Mhm.
over at Priory,
Mhm.
what was that, 150?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a luncheon to celebrate 125 years. And we had a couple of adults,
Right, former.
who were former students, and I didn't know, did you know? But,
So it turns out that we didn't have,
yeah, we don't have.
before the computer, we didn't have
documents.
the list of the children and the
Yeah,
families
really?
that went to
Okay.
school here. But I assume now on a computer, we
Yeah.
have everything.
Things became electronic, you
Yeah.
have a better chance of
Sure.
having stuff. But the
Sure.
older stuff, they destroyed,
Really?
every few years they had to, because we have no storage here.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I
So, yeah.
think even with that, I think that's something that, would we need to have some type of statement of communication?
Yeah.
To continue to communicate with people once they leave here.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe once a year,
Yeah.
Or
where
at least
is
they
your
know-
child today, what are they doing? Because that's what we did at Playground, right? And, we actually had a big party and invited anybody that belonged to the school back, and some of the people who came back.
Oh,
were
I
50
love
years
that.
old.
They're alumni.
Let's do it.
One of the
Everything
moms
has a-
we have in the program currently was here as a
Oh,
preschooler
really?
when I worked here.
Yeah, oh.
She's very young, but
Yeah.
that's a little freaky.
I know.
That's a little weird.
Yeah.
Her
Her
mom's
daughter,
like,
her daughter attends school here?
her daughter is now a 4-year-old. And there's a picture with little she came the same year your kids were here. She was in school with Kendall and with Lena, I think. They were the same year, right? And one day she's walking by and she goes, "Oh, look, that's me."
Yeah,
And we went over and looked and it's like, what?
yeah.
She goes, "Yeah, that was me." Because her mother normally brings the child to school. So I thought her mother was the mother.
Oh, okay.
I
right,
didn't
right.
realize
Yeah,
she's the
right.
grandmother because she's younger
Yeah.
than me. So that's not fair either, but
We have all these photographs and stuff.
we have, yeah.
Maybe we could contact
The
her,
history, right?
And
the
maybe-
whole history of the.
she knows other
She might know, she might have some other friends.
Yeah,
friends who, were in her
They may not be
class.
mothers
But
yet.
I think
Yeah.
that just lends to just
Yeah.
a plan.
A plan.
Just
Well, I
plan
can
to
do that.
cut. A plan of a database, a way to attack this and, alumni network, parent alumni network.
I'm gonna call
Also,
that
what we've
parent-
been doing with Victoria's been doing on our Instagram is Throwback Thursdays, where we put up like old,
yeah,
like
yeah.
we found some old pictures from like the 70s.
Mhm.
And we don't know who they are. We have no way of knowing who the teacher was. And she'll say, "Do you recognize this
Yes.
person? Let us know," or maybe we could reach out through social media or something and say, if you know somebody who went to Community Day Nursery,
Yeah.
send them our way. You can even send text messages, I guess, to people, and maybe people respond by text rather than emails these days. We have email address. I mean, people change their phone numbers. They
Yeah.
used to change their phone numbers frequently. I don't know if they do so much.
Not as
anymore.
much, not as
Now,
much.
because they have the.
Because you can
Nobody
carry it.
knows where anybody lives because of area
Right,
codes.
yeah,
Like wherever
yeah.
they want their phone.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, pull up our alumni list and see how we could reach out to them. But
But
No, I
having
think that's a
alumni
really good idea.
newsletter.
Yeah.
That's great. I like that.
And I think, the whole idea of putting up the old pictures is great.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It's just funny because we just happened to one day
Mhm.
came across a box. Yeah, we just came across a box and we're like, what is in here?
Yeah.
And it was old photographs from like the
Yeah.
70s, which was just this building, like downstairs. It was just the playground before. There's this ramp that goes down 2 levels and there's kids riding the tricycles and there's no railings. There's no fence. Like it's crazy. Like you can't even imagine. But the stuff like that was.
We had a really fun experience when it came to visit, because Mary and I had to go somewhere else after work. And one of the kids became my, he took me around, and he said.
Oh, your tour
"This is
guide."
Mary." He was taking me around the school, like I didn't know where anything was. Who was that?
Right.
There were two of them.
That was
that
last year.
Yeah,
That was
it was
last year.
somebody, who was my escort. He said, "This is where I do this."
Yeah.
This is where I paint, this is where I read books.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
It was really funny.
Yeah,
And I think, and the following year, he asked you about your friend.
yes, my friend, my best friend, is your best friend coming?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, out of the playground. Yeah. Is your best friend coming back?
They're very cute.
Yeah, anything too that involves them really helps. And I think, think about some kind of like a homecoming event or something like that you could lead up to, maybe over a year or something like that. And then say, let's have, a get together or even have a Zoom meeting or have, a sharing of.
Oh, a Zoom meeting,
Stories,
'cause
yeah.
some people don't have to make effort to like
Right,
get here.
right,
They
yeah.
could log, yeah, that would be,
And yeah, and from anywhere.
yeah.
And then something about, I was 4 when I was here and now I'm an electrical engineer or, whatever, and have kind of gives you a sense of the impact and the progress that people have made. Yeah.
The school is old.
Yeah, it is. It's very, yeah, it's great.
Do we know exactly why it started?
The story is that it was started because in the community, there were kids single moms who didn't have anybody to take care of the kids and they had to go to work, so they would leave the kids home. And there were community volunteers who would come in to check on the kids. And one day somebody went in and saw some child with a giant knife cutting somebody's food. And they started the day nursery of the Oranges. We were in Orange, and when you leave, you can look on the wall, there's a picture of where we were in a house in Orange, which I believe is still standing.
Okay.
And they incorporated into a childcare center, and then they had some really smart people who raised a lot of money and bought the property here and built the building, the lower 2 levels as a school. And then in the 1960s, 61. And then in the 1970s, there was a private house on this property, bought that house and added on this level. So when you walk in here, you feel like, don't they have children here? It's
Yeah,
like just an
right,
office.
right,
But
yeah.
if you go down, we've got all the classrooms and the
Right.
playgrounds. It goes all the way down to Freeman Avenue,
Okay.
which is where the main entrance used to be.
Oh, okay.
So we're a full block long. We're narrow, but we're long.
Wow.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
used to send us down there. And then you say, wait, can't park down
Yeah,
there.
when you would say community day nursery, it'd bring you to 38 Freeman.
Yes.
And in
Yeah.
fact, our PSE&G bill still comes to 38 Freeman.
Oh, really?
For some reason, that's what it's in their system, even though we get it delivered here. That's, yeah. But there were forward-thinking people a long time ago
Yeah.
who raised a lot of money and
Mhm.
gave us a foundation so that we can still be here today. So.
And right now, childcare is a big issue. It's as much as there are fewer kids, but also
But it's more expensive than
it's more expensive than it's ever been. And quality care is really, really important.
There are research reports that are astounding, because I used one in particular as based on my dissertation, and it was amazing that most of these places have 100% turnover rates.
Wow.
In staff, because they're so underpaid
Yeah.
and so treated so poorly.
Yeah.
But I was thinking of a solution, I don't know if it would work here, to take care of the issue in the east of our school district with special needs. If as the teachers retire, if we only hire early childhood special ed people, then you don't need to send them to the district.
I don't know about that, but
I'm just saying.
yeah, it's an option. No, the problem that we have, which is a really good problem, but is a problem nonetheless, is that our staff has been here a very long time.
Oh, okay.
So when Nora's talking about people that turnover in this place,
Yeah.
they've
Well,
been here 20
yeah.
plus years, many of them.
And that's something to include in your outreach.
Oh, yeah.
But the other problem, we talked about the the victim that came out of the school district in terms of special needs children who might be enrolled here. That is the problem.
Oh, that they no longer want to provide services to the children in the private centers. So if you have a special needs child, they're talking about taking them out and putting them in the public schools
Right.
because their numbers are down too.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
they're not fully enrolled.
yes, yeah,
And then that would really, I'm not sure that they're gonna do that. That's not official. I heard that,
okay.
you know. But right now, the school district has a contract with an outside organization and they come and do physical therapy, OT,
Oh.
speech for our children.
Oh, okay.
But they're talking about down the road. I think 3-year-olds who are currently here would be grandfathered in, but any new kids would be automatically put in the public school. So they would.
Can you imagine taking 3 and 4-year-olds, 3-year-olds who started here, gonna go into a 3-year-old head and say, okay, you had a good year here, but next year you have to go over to that building because we're not gonna send anybody over
Right.
you here where you're happy. We're sending you there, because I had this happen with the co-op a little bit with divorces, not with special needs.
Yeah.
And then the next year after that, you're gonna go to another building. They're
Right.
gonna be messed up
Yes.
emotionally, and they're not thinking straight.
Mhm, mhm.
They're
Well,
thinking
this
from an adult brain.
You have to advocate for the child, this is not about the convenience of,
But
the adults.
It's also not East Orange. It's
all.
Oh, yeah.
It's,
Oh, yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
because I do meetings with people from other
Yeah.
districts and everything, and they've done that in Elizabeth, they've done that in a bunch of places where, because it's all about, in the end, they have to meet their, I mean, if you look at it, if you take the emotions out of it, you say, okay, they've got to meet their,
But they
budgets
come
and
from
everything,
an
but-
adult brain, and they're not thinking, well, what is
The best interest of the child.
Child be feeling.
Right, they're coming from a business perspective, yeah. Which is legitimate, but it's not all there is. Yes, there has to be a
We're
balance.
dealing with young kids.
Yes, exactly, yeah. No, that's really, and I understand about dealing with school districts.
Okay.
So,
That's-
all right, good. So, okay, board recruitment, yeah, again, you want to look at the diversity, you want to look at, is it even, are there people in the school district that might be a board member, Maybe not, might not be the administrator, but,
but that's a good thought too.
Mhm. yeah, people that are in this, in your field and in your area. When you're recruiting, obviously, the mission is going to be key. You want to prepare a case, for the organization. Why would you want to be a board member here? Okay, say this is what we do, and then also, and then again, looking at, people, the college and board educational programs expanding. That's the other thing is I gave, colleges are a place that you could look to recruit board members, but also there are several programs around that do board education and even board matching. So I don't know, Kane University used to do it, but I don't know if they still are. I gave Richard and Norma the Nonprofit Connect, which they do 2 cohorts every year, one in the spring and one in the fall. And they have a board training program they go through, and then they match people up. So connecting with them and saying, this is what we're looking for. And this is, again, where identifying what your particular needs are. You might be surprised, who you actually can identify. You want to think about, because you're so community-based, you do want to have, a significant number of people that represent you're the population you're serving. But, bringing people in from the outside can also provide other experiences, other perspectives, and things that, ideas and, things that haven't been, that maybe you haven't been exposed to, that they begin to see the connections. Okay. Okay, then, once you've recruited people, you want to look at the onboarding process. I talked a little bit earlier about that, but it's, you already do this, I think, is assemble a packet of your documents. But have an orientation for new board members. What my boss does is she has a meeting with new board members. Sometimes, however she can get them together, it's one-on-one, but it goes over, here's the organization, here's a little history, here are the current issues that we're dealing with, and sort of bring them in. Then I put in here what I told you before, and consider inviting them to the board meeting before to get an idea and assign a mentor. Those are all, there are many other ideas, but supporting those board members when they come in, where they feel A, that they belong, and B, have guidance and can ask questions. Again, going back to that asking questions, is you need to be comfortable to ask questions. There really is no stupid question.
No.
Okay. All right, and then when you have your geese in a row, you're flying off, right? So, okay, are there any other questions around the board recruitment and stuff? All right. And then one thing you could do is everybody make up a list of 3 or 4 names. Who do you know? Who do you think might be a good board member? And just throw them on the table. And you're going to reject half of them. That's fine. But it just gets you thinking about who is it? Who do I know? Who really likes kids. Really has a commitment to the community, et cetera, et cetera.
Can we go to the evaluation? Is that the next step? Or we should
Where are we?
discuss relationship with Nursery?
Yeah.
Kind of express that evaluation next steps. Because it's what time is it?
Yeah, it's 2:30. It's after 2:30.
If you don't mind, I mean.
Sure.
I know.
No, what I'm doing with and you'll get these slides.
Okay.
But I know we talked about building partnerships and connections, but I think too, we've been talking about that with the board recruitment. Just trying to see if there's anything. Oh, well, yeah, what I have here too is one thing is to develop those relationships, but then it's really important because they're there to keep them going. People think, okay, we signed an MOU or we've got this agreement or deal or whatever, and then you've got to keep that relationship nurtured. Okay, so that's again. Now for that, well, I don't have any slides specifically for the evaluation.
Okay.
The evaluation idea was to talk about, and this is a good time to do it. Okay, of everything that we've covered here today, what are some of your takeaways? What are things that you want to take action on? I know, Norma, you've been taking a lot of notes. I've got a few, but I'll also look at my list here, see if I had some other. Oh, I know what I was going to say too. Talking about recorded webinars, we have a series of webinars on finance. Because somebody on the board mentioned the financial training. They were 1-hour webinars, so they'll probably be about 45 minutes. And it starts with just the nonprofit finance 101, and it has budgeting and cash flow, and it has, I think it's five segments. But for people who want to get a sense of financial management, kind of the basics. It's done by an accountant that works it's with your part-time controller. They work exclusively with nonprofits. And that's one of the things I recommend. I always recommend that you get professional help with, I guess I should say attorneys, but in addition to attorneys is accountants and technology and tech people. You really, to have an accountant and even just come in, look over your books and say, okay, did you know that this needs to be categorized this way or this needs to be categorized that way? It can really help you get be sure that you're on the right track. And certainly with a new organization, I tell people, start out right.
We have an account. It's
Yes.
fabulous.
Yeah,
She's
okay, great.
amazing, yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's those two professions to me, to my mind, are, go get help.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, my takeaway. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Debbie, thank you very much. This
Thank
was
you for-
it was very good, very good. My takeaway, these are the final follow-up to-dos.
Okay.
And I wrote down that, I love that idea of the parent alumni network, Mary. So I got Mary's in there. And the board membership manual, I think we need to work on that. And the statement of commitment, we will definitely do that. Board evaluation report card, I think that's probably gonna be a collaboration with us all here, what we need to see on that.
I can send you some resources.
I think
Okay, I was gonna say,
commercial ones.
Because I was gonna
Yeah,
go,
they're-
I was gonna go
they're out
on the website and check these out also. Along with that, statement of commitment, we're gonna create a statement of commitment statement. Okay, and then we're gonna have it by sight and blood and everything else. I also had, well, I have several, but I'm not gonna keep you here. But I think it's also, I think it would be a great thing for the finance training webinar. You all could probably take that. And then, as we finish this, we need to talk about treasurer, mayor.
My turn? I thought you were asking me for a treasurer. I was like, okay,
I'm looking at one.
I got it.
Oh.
No, I had written down the board manual. I think that would be really important. And I like the idea of new board members getting a packet so they know what to expect and inviting them to meetings ahead of time. I also like the idea of looking for possible board members from like right in front of us, people that we have. I wrote down here one of the children, her name and her family, because I think either one of her parents would be really terrific. So I thought that was great. Yeah, so, and making some commitment, the commitment is important to the meetings, and, setting it up and then following through, and communication. And Norma, I
Yes.
think you and I have good
Yes, we
communication,
do.
so keep that going. Norma.
Well, the commitment is really important to me. I think that I was handed a policy manual that has never been looked at again. I don't even know if it was looked at before.
Did you look at it?
Yeah, I looked at it.
What's the revision date? Do you
I-
remember?
But I never used it. you see?
See?
But it's never been, looked at again, and updated or anything of that nature. I think there are some holes in the bylaws that we need to deal with still. I think that, again, the size of this board is very difficult. We need, the committee structure is not functioning, not really.
Oh, yeah, we didn't really talk about that. Okay.
Yeah, it's not functioning. We don't know who's on what committee.
Oh, okay.
Am I wrong about that?
I think we addressed it.
We
at-
addressed
yeah,
that.
we addressed it
did
at a
we did
recent
the way, but
meeting,
there's no chair of each
Yeah,
committee,
we-
except I know the finance committee is the treasurer.
We haven't established a
Right.
meeting. We talked about establishing meetings. We didn't actually carry through
Right.
establishing.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on the finance committee, but
Me too.
I
Wow.
I don't feel qualified, and frankly, it's not where my passion lies. And I kind of like, I felt like I volunteered because you did the warm body sort of, but I don't feel like I'm contributing much to the finance committee. And when we do recruit, I want to pass that interest.
Well, I think what we were doing was depending on David.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He seems to know a lot about investments and so on and so forth.
But I'd be happy to
Yeah.
meet with some of the
Right,
evaluation stuff.
but
like
I
other
would,
groups.
and recruitment is, Richard, actually lead the recruitment. Actually, when we, because he was the president at the time, when we were, we successfully hired Mary, and then, Richard did the, computer, not computer, but the website,
Yeah.
for recruitment, that's how we got Nate, and who is Sherry? Website. Okay, so, yeah, from that website, so he's our recruitment person. So we, you know, I just always defer to him about recruitment.
Yeah, but I like the, you know, just
But-
using the resource.
Yes, yes,
as,
that.
you know, as a resource to potentially, connect potential members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have, I don't remember, does your bylaws have a specific number? Do you have a specific?
We
I think we
11?
had.
What, 11?
it was
I think the
six
minimum
to-
is 7,
Oh, okay, 6 or 7, then up to
15.
15 or something.
Okay,
like
all
that.
right, okay.
I mean, at a time, we had 12 at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had 11. I thought it was 11. I thought I read it.
Currently we have 9, right?
Yeah, but I thought in your recent
might be
bylaws, it said 11.
It might be 11, yeah.
And
I
some-
don't
But there were numbers.
Yeah,
There were-
yeah.
There's a
we did
range.
look at it. We did look at it.
Yeah. No, again, having that range really helps.
Right,
Gives you some
right.
latitude.
But I'm sorry.
I mean, that's, yeah, I mean, you know, one of my main next steps, I guess, is to think about recruitment.
Yeah.
With targeting specific,
Right.
you know, expertise and interest
Right.
areas.
I'm sorry, what did you say? What was the first part?
Recruitment,
Oh, okay.
but just intentionally targeting
Mhm.
certain people,
Okay.
certain skills and interests. And also, I mean, you know, just, I guess, taking the time to see who we currently have, what they can contribute, because I'm happy to look at the parent survey, or, you know, there's,
Right.
yeah.
Mr. Ruiz, I think, unfortunately, he wasn't able to come to the board because he works in finance
Yes.
and his children. Attend
All.
all 3 of them. All 3 of them. attend
Content?
this school. So, I think he would be trying to do well, he's still, because the board is involved.
But, so I have a question. Suppose we identify a new board member. There's my new board member. How do we, what's the procedure for getting them on board? Do they just say, yeah, I'm gonna do it, and now they're a board member? Or is there like a meeting time, or do we have a particular, do we interview, or what would be
I
the
mean,
most?
we've done that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Okay.
when there is interest, like, you know, it was a pool of interest, of course, you know, to send in a resume, reviewed by the board, invite the person in person for a tour or virtually for a tour, then come in to meet the board virtually at the time, or even in person. We did it sometimes. People came. I remember people came when we were meeting in person.
Yeah.
People would come in for and sit down and talk. I think Suzanne did that. I think
Okay.
Chester, I think was before him.
Yes.
Yeah. So people were, I mean, part of the process was to have people come in, meet the board, talk about it, for them to ask questions. And then from there, the full board would then say,
But
hey,
have somebody
is this person
Mhm.
somebody that we would like to
Yeah.
bring on?
I have somebody who's pretty interested.
I probably remember if I sent it.
So references is, we do a background check. It was a background check. I think fingerprints through some
Yes.
entity that's used.
Right.
Infomart or something, I think, that's
Yeah.
the company.
Probably the same one exclusive.
I think it was Infomart we used.
Something, I think so. yeah.
We've been,
Sorry.
we fingerprint, yeah, you know, we get.
Fingerprint, yeah, right.
Yeah.
We do that.
Yeah,
We
you
do
have
go through the normal procedure, I would say.
So that would be, you know, somebody's, you know, to their resume, for the board to see, review it, invite the person if they're not familiar for a tour.
So this gentleman that Norma and I have discussed, who was a former parent and did help out when we had the big anniversary celebration outside, he's terrific.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of like
Schedule.
getting him to meet with us so that we can move forward.
Because he works in New York,
He works in New York.
you know.
He would be a terrific addition to the board. I like him a lot. His kids haven't been here in probably like 4 years or so.
Yes.
And they left East Orange. I don't remember what town he lives in now. They were a little outside of East Orange. But, I mean, his wife works for him. Like, he'd be great. I think he would be great, but I don't know when you want him.
Whenever, you know, we can, you know, set up
A virtual.
unless you want him to come on a Tuesday when we have meeting.
I mean, would you want him to come to, see, our next board meeting now is gonna be. a
Oh,
different
yeah,
sort of
okay,
meeting,
it's
something
right,
different.
sorry,
So we would
yeah.
really need to schedule a time for a couple of us, because I know him, so I mean, for
Okay.
you guys to meet him. So.
You, listen, I'm available. I'm
Okay.
supposed to be retired, but
But you're working full time.
I work in the daytime, you know?
You're retired in the evening.
No, that's, but no, I mean, that's a good
Yeah.
question, and I think too, is obvious what, you know, probably I hear Richard saying, you know, let's get his resume, get his interest, you know, and you might even want to have, a letter of introduction or something, just a generic one. This is who we are, you know, have you considered, you know,
But does he have that pamphlet that we have about the school? Well, he knows. about
He knows.
Yeah, he knows.
Yeah, he knows.
But I didn't, okay. And also, the vice president is on the screen.
Yes.
Yes, Yeah.
She's local, so she can come, you know.
Yeah.
We just
But
have to get your schedule because how long are you gonna be away?
probably just a week, and then I have
Will you
soccer
be here for the 16th?
of what month?
She
This
didn't,
month.
she didn't hear any of this conversation.
Oh, we're having a retirement, we're gonna make it feel old. Retirement dinner, excuse me, Richard, not you, David.
Oh, okay,
On
16th of this
Tuesday,
month.
the 16th.
I think I'm around, yeah, of June, right?
It's gonna be at Bella Italian.
Okay, yeah, right down the street.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, she had an idea, she wants to contribute.
But, oh, yeah, any.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Kim.
No, I was gonna just say, because I didn't see the first part of the presentation, but what I work on a lot and is just kind of trying to use AI in a more useful way. And it is very, you know, there's some tools that are very useful. Like if we put in the mission of the school, and if I put in, you know, background on all of our board members, like, you know, Claude or ChatGPT could probably say, hey, this is a gap in your board. If we're talking about like targeted, you know, just to give us some bullet points. And, you know, I think that we could use that in a useful way. So that's an exercise I think I want to just kind of play around with, just to be more targeted and more purposeful. You know, because we're thinking about things, and we're, you know, trying to come up with different strategies, but I think that AI could do it in probably 2 seconds, you know, things that we're kind of like baseline things, you know. I don't want to turn us all into robots, but, you know, using it in a more useful, productive way, I think would be interesting. Just around not even just recruitment of new board members, but maybe other, you know, avenues that we could use it for.
Right.
So I would like to kind of lead kind of that part up, kind of the AI integration and how we can function more effectively.
Thank you.
That's great. And I think too, Kim, that it points to, we need, again, you need to identify what are the skills that would be helpful.
Right.
You know, what the organization does, but also what skills might be helpful. And the AI may bring up some things you haven't thought about. That's
Right.
good.
Right.
Anything else?
No.
That was great. We all had great ideas. We great people.
But wait, I want to hear from
We didn't hear from Nate.
Nate and
Oh,
Shannon.
Nate.
Yes,
What
well,
was I gonna say? I thought I said what was I gonna
Takeaways.
say? The takeaways. Yeah, I like the idea of, I mean, of course, getting back to the committees, right? So I think it's a good idea to establish regular committees. That's what I was gonna get to say. And then, there was something that was talked about, like at each meeting, identify, give someone an assignment or a task and prepare a report and report back to the next, the next board meeting. I like that idea as well. I think that can help us sort of tackle problems to assign, problem or a research area that's more. And then, have them go away and come back to the next meeting and provide a report. I think that would be a useful way to make progress in tackling certain problems more efficiently.
I think there might be a recruitment issue though. As I lived in my sphere from where I live is fairly far from here.
Yeah,
If I went up to somebody where I live and say, I think we would be great on this board,
yeah.
I'm not sure that the interest would be there.
Well, but you don't know.
It depends.
You never know.
And with a relationship with you, that's part of what
Right.
is gonna be the,
I could try, I
draw.
can think of somebody,
But,
but I
yeah.
don't know if it would work.
if you don't ask, you don't get.
One of the nice things that happened because of the pandemic is that we shifted our meetings to virtual. So it means that you
Somebody
can be
doesn't
at a meeting even if
Right.
you live a half an hour away.
Right.
You don't have to rush
Yeah.
to get here. So
Yeah.
I think, although it's important to meet in person occasionally, and
Yes.
we do, I
Yeah.
think it also makes it more convenient for folks.
I'm sure you-
I was just gonna add to, in addition to having people presenting, I think just having a little bit more space in our agendas for discussion questions, because I feel like they are very finance, and I know there's certain things we need to get through, but I guess I don't feel as engaged because I know we're just kind of going through these things and there's some space. So that's just-
I feel like we spend so much time in a meeting on just like regular business rather than,
More road stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that the library board started to do with this new president of the library board. With the library director, he sends out an email that says, we're putting the agenda together. The chair and the library director, and do you have anything that you want to add to the agenda?
Right.
So that there's input.
I want to get at least one.
I'd be curious hearing from Mary and from your staff, like what's the pressing issue, like what can we help with, or just brainstorming,
Money.
what's.
That really,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
really,
number
yeah.
one.
that is the
Yeah.
number one. I mean, I think to me, it's crazy
Yeah.
Raise money.
how we can, because that's where the issues are, right? It's meeting, our expenses are going up and up and up.
Yes,
And
yeah.
Now, let me ask you this, and I don't know, keep this fast.
it's too much.
When I first came on board, the board members were asked to, donate. You remember that? Bridget?
I think part of the, some grants that, were applied for, as were board members financially contributing board members.
Right.
And so on that end, I think we got into a conversation about should there be a minimum that a board member should contribute? Because one's time in their particular field would be more than one would actually donate or compensate for, a particular event or something like that. So we got into that conversation, and I don't think I don't remember if there was a minimum set, and I don't think it was put into,
I don't think
it's not in the bylaws.
Not in the
Not in
ballot,
the
but I
bylaws.
think we did sign something saying that I would contribute, so I didn't know, I just thought about it when you were talking about money.
Yeah,
I didn't know if that was still in effect, and I'm saying if that's the case, then I have definitely not complied.
but I mean, there are contributions when it,
Yeah, you can, yeah.
The gift cards.
Yeah.
And
There's ways,
we've done
yeah,
it. We've
yeah.
done it. Okay. But no, there was a set amount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There wasn't, I mean, because that was, I remember this is going back to me, but that was
Yeah.
a conversation of, should there be a minimum level of contribution? And then there were some members that said, well, you know, for my job, I'm paid X number of dollars an hour. And so, you know, my time that I come here is worth way more than,
You know, it's unbearable.
Do you know,
Money-
Debbie, if most boards require board members? Is
Um,
that a thing?
it really, it varies.
varies.
And it also depends, I mean, I know one organization I worked for, the deal was all board members had to make a financial contribution. But again, this was in Camden, and it was a minimum of $1. The idea being that, you know, as you can afford,
Sure,
okay?
sure.
So
And,
you're
yeah.
buying in at whatever you.
Right,
I like
and there,
that,
I mean,
yeah.
because we had, I mean, I know there was a parent or somebody, you know, was on welfare, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, you're not, so that, you make it as equitable as possible. And some place, I mean, another thing to think about too is giving some kind of a guideline. You know, if your income is, you know, 50,000, can you give, you know, 1%, you know, well, not 1%, but, you know, a X amount, and then, you know, just give some kind of a measure. And I know we did this in my congregation where, they, you know, very often the wealthiest people don't give that much, you know, and it's the people in the middle that give most. And so, you know, we created this kind of, you know, curve of, you know, down here, you don't pay any, and then it starts to come up and up and up, and you know, at a certain level, you should be paying whatever, I can't remember, we had 5% or something like that. But if you give people a number, you know, one of the things we did was we put on all the seats on the pews, we put a dollar number, and some people got angry.
Oh, that's,
And
that is, oh my
We
God.
calculated, you know, whatever it was, you know, 20% of the minister's time, and, you know, however many, 1/7 of the heating bill, and, you know, We went through and we did a calculation, and we estimated that it was about $350 per person for every Sunday.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
Okay. And this is, you know, and
Screen go
you know, no, I think it may not have been every Sunday. Now, but anyway, regardless, it was probably a month. That's probably what it was. It was probably a month. And, you know, some people really got offended, but, you know, people don't realize, they just don't realize what the costs of things are.
You could write a newsletter, not put on.
Yes, no, I'm just, I'm not suggesting you do that. It's a different environment, very different environment, okay? But the idea is to give people a sense, you know, I mean, somebody who makes, you know, $500,000 can write a check for 5,000 and say, oh, I'm so generous. And in reality, the person that's giving a $50 check is more generous than they are, you know? So it's just a matter of giving it
We
perspective.
used to have a sliding scale tuition at the co-op
Yeah.
nursery school,
Mhm,
and it really needed to be readjusted.
mhm.
First of all, because we had to get this teacher, and she wouldn't come for less money. So we couldn't get the people who were not filing their W-4, who made a lot of money. There was a top,
Mhm.
and they would not vote to raise the tuition higher for themselves.
Yeah.
Even though the people at the bottom, the percentage was much higher.
Much higher, yes, yes. Well, that's what our memberships
Yeah.
start at 99 for organizations under $50,000, and it goes up to, I don't know, probably 13 or 1400 now. And those people at the 13, 1400 level are paying 1/10 of what the $99 organizations. If you look at the form.
It's like our tax break.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Let me ask a couple of questions. We talked about, the, meeting, no, I got that, okay. We talked about the dashboard. Oh, she just left. But,
I got it. I got it down.
okay, all right. That's something you want to think about in terms of
Yeah,
what
Richard.
data is going to be helpful to you as a board, okay? To monitor, to have a sense of what's happening, okay? And that, it may change, but just think about what is the information that would be most useful to you in terms of knowing where you are, making decisions, addressing, any, issues that come up.
Do we have a database already?
No,
Of
Mary
the
has,
parents?
Mary's.
Do we have a database of the parents from the last few years?
Since we've been using Bright Wheel, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Since been, what is it?
Bright Wheel is our, like, people have to pay tuition or we communicate, it's a way we communicate with parents, it's an app that we use.
So from the year to year, she's
I
building.
think we started that right during the pandemic, because that was the only way we could get to the parents.
I'm so sorry that
Yes,
to
that's what
get
we're
my
trying.
son from here.
I used to, oh, yeah, I'm trying to get to.
But thank you so much, this was great.
So nice to meet you.
Nice to
Thank
meet
you.
you.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
service.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you so much, Sharon.
The other thing I was gonna say is I'm gonna check into the, when we were going over the Title 15A and the elections and the terms and that sort of stuff, the door prize for parent group. I'm gonna check back with my boss and clarify that, see what's really in the law. and what's-
Could we do the election thing, just like odd year or even year? In other words, we get confused at each term, who's been in that
Yes,
term?
yeah.
I think that somebody did that once on some board that was on. so-
Yeah, we have-
More or less, like, odd years.
What's that? To do what?
Our board list always has the year, I think we usually put the year it expired. So like if it's 27, 28, you know that person, right,
So if we
their
say
term is up.
the president and the secretary were elected on odd years
Mhm.
and the others on even.
You can do anything you want,
We do anything we want.
Yeah.
It's up to us.
Yeah.
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 No, and having that, normally what you would do is you'd have, like ours, in our case, in the center's case where the terms are 3 years, you have a third of the board transition each year. So you want to keep that kind of balance, so you don't all of a sudden have to recruit 8 people.
Yeah,
the
everybody
next
leaves,
year done, so you want to keep that, some kind of balance.
Oh, Richard and Sharon, will assist Mary with her data on school analysis. I got it all.
All right, you got it.
I
Okay.
thank you so much.
Really. All right, well, thank you all.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
This is great. Thank you for coming on, Kim.
All right, bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
Anything
Yeah, that's right, I'll take care of it.
Okay, take care. I'm gonna.
needs to be moved?
Mary, let us.
If you guys really want to help, you can move the tables back.
Where did they go? Downstairs?
I can't do it because I had
And then.
I had enough of
the
the
one that
on
gets
my
folded
back,
up is-
so,
Let the chair.
Cheers. I had never learned. Chairs are on a stand in this work.
Mary, I'm gonna put this in your office, Mary.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what should be?
See, for us.
No point in buying new ones.
There we go.